Union Station recently. And I think Madison Square Garden is really now primarily just the arena. And I think you can enter the train station there as well. There was so much nostalgia for the beautiful train station that they had to take over the post office. And I guess they didn't need the post office anymore. But you'll see also around here is kind of a old neighborhood. There are about 4 Irish pubs on this block alone, which is a great place to get a beer if you are meeting up before or after a concert. Cut this again. This is the old post office. This place is so huge, they must still be using it as the post office as well. This is sort of more of a seedy area, or used to be forever. All of these buildings in front of us are new. This is all Hudson Yards. Hudson Yards is the name of all the trains come in under the river, the Hudson River, and they all stay in the train yard before they come to the train station right here. So recently, under Bloomberg, they built a platform over those trains that were just sitting there doing nothing, and opened the whole area up for development. And suddenly, pretty much instantly, high-rises everywhere. It also means a lot of construction. Okay, I've never done this before. This looks a little... I'm not going to turn right there and end up in the tunnel. It's probably going to take me a little bit longer to go this way. But if I end up in the Lincoln Tunnel, it's game over. I'm back in New Jersey starting over again. I think my whole plan to avoid all of this is kaput. Ugh. Yeah, now I'm stuck in traffic. People don't know how to turn right. So a lot of the traffic on this avenue is because of Lincoln Tunnel traffic. They're all headed to New Jersey. So if I can bypass this, we might get there in time. fascinating how trucks will just stop in the middle of the lane. This guy could have gone on the side street. So when I moved to the city in '93, Hell's Kitchen was still pretty much Hell's Kitchen. They tried calling it Clinton for a while. It was kind of funny because the neighborhood just south of that is Chelsea, and so the neighborhood newspaper was called the Chelsea Clinton. But Hell's Kitchen got its name from the fact that in the middle of the 1800s, there were dock workers all living here, primarily Irish, and it was really rough. Gangs and a number of writers had written about how poor it was, how rough it was, and somewhere along the line they called it Hell's Kitchen, and it stuck, and continues to be called Hell's Kitchen, even though it's really quite beautiful and the apartments here are going to be very expensive. But for a long time there was a lot of affordable housing here, and I think one of the instigators that changed it all was the High Line, which is an elevated park. Up until the 80s there were still elevated train tracks through the west side, and they were commercial trains. They would run right through buildings, which is interesting. You can still see the remnants of that. And so the trains would run to Hudson Yards at 33rd Street and go all the way down through the West Village, down the west side, through different factories, picking things up. And once it was abandoned, a group got together called the Friends of the High Line, raised enough money and political clout to turn it into an elevated park, which is lovely. I wouldn't call it a park, I would call it a pathway. It is very crowded to walk on it. It's like urban hiking, I would call it. And oh yeah, we gotta get out. So the elevated highway started on the in the meatpacking district, and then kind of crept up through the 30s. And as it did, it became more popular and started gentrifying the area, and then more and more of the residents in affordable housing got pushed out, and a lot of the older sort of industrial type businesses closed. There was a lot of like tire repair, auto repair. Even the gas stations are gone. So if you come to Manhattan and you need gas, there's only a few places to get gas, and they're going to charge you the highest amount that they possibly can for it. So that was part of the instigation of the change in the area. And then of course Hudson Yards, and I'm sure there was a lot of rezoning for redevelopment. And the area has even been given a new name. Probably real estate brokers like to change the names of neighborhoods to make them sound fancier. So it's Hell's Kitchen, which kind of blends into the theater district as well, which is right around here. We are encroaching upon Times Square area. So a lot of the people who work in the theater would all live on the west side here also. I'm gonna crunch. So there was a lot more affordable housing over on the west side that accommodated all the people that worked in the theater, the actors and actresses, and some. There were even some buildings that were like SROs, which is a single resident occupancy. So you would just have a room, basically, and then it didn't even have a kitchen. All of your food was delivered. It's almost like you had a membership. So food would be delivered, and there was more of a communal living, which was originally built for actors and actresses. And I've heard that a friend of a friend still has an apartment there after all of these years. I had no idea they still existed. There used to be a lot of SROs down in the Bowery, and you wouldn't get your food delivered. They were just basically a room, and some of them it was like a bed, and the wall didn't even go all the way to the ceiling. There'd be chicken wire above it. Just looking to see if I should turn out of this. I think I'm stuck. Yeah, so chicken wire above it. And the only glimpse I got of a place like that was in the movies. There's a movie with John Travolta. I can't remember which one it is. I'll have to find it. He is in the shower with his clothes on. he enters, and there's like a guy with a window, and you kind of have to pay by the day, and he's never paying his bills, so he's like, I'll catch you tomorrow, that kind of thing. And there's a scene with him. He's got all his clothes on in the shower, and he's like washing his clothes on his body because he doesn't have any laundry. I thought that was really kind of funny, but I guess a lot of people lived like that at once upon a time. The Bowery changed a lot since then as well, and those places were for single men, and I think that they probably have now moved over into the shelter system or have become homeless since then, which is really unfortunate. Yes, my plan for going up 6th Avenue would have been more efficient, I think. But at the same time, it's midday in Manhattan, and I'm sure every street is the same. I have found actually noon is gridlock time, and actual rush hour is not typically so bad. The construction guys all try and get in like around 6 in the morning, and people are going to work, and then earlier. But it's the delivery trucks that cause all the traffic, and they're all in the middle of the city at this time. They're trying to impose congestion pricing to keep people out of the, I forget what they're calling it, some sort of like working district, as if people are coming in, just commuting to work. But the traffic is not that at all. It's delivery trucks. And look at on the street, every car with the T on the license plate that's from the transit authority, so that's an Uber or a taxi. But delivery, construction, taxi. So I don't think that the majority of